Hey y'all, Ali, Little Hill Craft Company, not Little Hill Homestead. I'm still trying to get used to saying it not wrong. That didn't even make sense, but you know what I meant. So you guys asked me a couple weeks ago to show you how we make our Little Hill labels that we use on the stuff we sell at craft shows. So today I'm going to be showing you two different versions of the label using the same materials. So the first one is going to be, I'm hoping you guys can see this. This is going to be like our large logo. I use this on like the faces of purses or large items. It is an iron-on transfer. I'll show you all the materials you need. The other option is going to be this kind, where it's printed sideways, but when you fold it in half, you sew it into your project right here, and then you have a little tab that sticks out. It's great for like wristlets and things like that, where you don't want a big label on your product. So two versions. I'm going to be showing you a couple computer programs that are free, so you can do this a couple different ways. But essentially what we need, we tried a few different versions of iron-on transfer paper. This is the only one that I found that worked and created the label that I liked. So I will link this below. We get it on Amazon. It's just for inkjet printers. So if you have a laser jet, this is not going to work. Ask me how I know. The letters literally come right off of it. So you do need an inkjet printer. Inkjet, making sure. We bought one at Walmart for $30 that we use just for this purpose. So Amazon. They do sell a dark version if you're going on to darker fabrics, but this won't necessarily work for that because we're going to be using black letters. So black on black you won't be able to see it. The other thing you're going to need, and I will link these below, we get this on Amazon, they're rolls of ribbon. So it is like a matte ribbon. You can do this on shiny as well, but it's a 1-inch ribbon. I find that this works the best for us. It doesn't fray like crazy. It's easy to sew through and it's really easier to iron on and see. I, like I said, have a white version and I have like an off-white version based on what I'm sewing it onto. But that's just your personal preference. If you want to do purple, by all means, have at it. But I found that 1 inch is kind of a good height for this. So essentially what we're going to be doing is printing our labels mirrored. And I'll show you how to do that to get a whole bunch of labels and not spend a ton. So when we started doing craft shows, I started pricing labels and they're astronomical, you guys. Like I can't even imagine. I'd have to raise my prices on everything to cover just the cost of a label. So for a long time, we just didn't have labels on our stuff. Well, now we figured out a cheap way to do it. So let's go into my office and I'm going to try to show you the computer side of it. I'm not as computer savvy and I'm hoping I use the right words. So yeah, let's go. Okay, I'm hoping you guys can see my screen okay. I'm in my office. I have all my curtains drawn. I don't know how to do like a shared screen, so we're just gonna film. Hi. So the first program that you guys will need, well, first we need to create a label. We use a program called Canva, C-A-N-V-A. I can't get to their main screen, but canva.com. I will link it below. We use this for like all the labels that we have created, all our own logos. I have an art degree, so a lot of our stuff I do ourselves. So like our Little Hill logos or our thumbnails for our videos, we do all that using this program. You can upgrade and do the Pro, I think is what they call it, and get better graphics, but it's not necessary for this. Some of their fonts, you need the Pro. So I try to pick ones that are not that. So what we need to do is to go to this little button on the side once you're signed in, and you can sign under a Gmail if you have one, or your email address. Hit create. It's going to pop up with a screen. And on the side over here, we're going to scroll down to custom size, which is kind of at the bottom. And this is going to be starting a label from scratch. So over here under units, which is going to be here, we're going to move it to inches just because I don't speak in pixels. I'm not that fancy. Our width and our height is going to determine how big this is going to be on here. Well, I know I want it 1 inch high or just slightly under because the ribbon we're using is 1 inch tall. So typically what I will do is put 1 inch and then just make sure that I come in a little bit below that on the design. The width of it, you can kind of decide what you like. I had 3 inches set up for mine. It just kind of seems to be a nice size that adds a little on the sides so that you have trimming space. Hopefully I'm not pointing at nothing, but it allows for you to have cut marks between. So I'm going to put our width as 3 inches and then I'm going to go over here and hit create new design. So it's going to bring you to essentially a rectangle. And I'm going to get rid of this, maybe. I'm going to go over here, and you can, with these labels, add design elements like a picture or something like that. I have found that labels get kind of small, and so it gets a little muddy, like an old tattoo on a sailor. It's not as readable as one would want it to be. So I stick with just text on mine. But you can have a lot of fun with text by just making them different. So under here, I'm going to put add a text box, and boom, now we have a text area. So for me, I'm going to write little and Hill, because that's basically our name is Little Hill, either Homestead or Craft Company, depending on what I'm under. So now I have Little Hill written on here. I'm going to go up here to the font area, which is, I'm trying to, up here. We have size and font. If you want to do it in color, you can, as long as you have a color printer. Again, when I printed in color, it didn't do as well as just black for my purpose. So that's kind of why I picked what I picked. I'm going to make a little bit bigger just so you can see for now. So I'm going to go up to 25, and then we can adjust as needed. So under fonts, there's a billion different options here. Now I will say, if you see, let me see here. I'm trying to find ones some of them you have to pay for, and if it does, it'll show like a little crown. But like, you could change it to any font you want, you guys. Like, you can have crazy fun with this. Some of them not so much, not as fun. Okay, so here's where we get into, see the little crowns. If I go to use that, it's going to prompt me to sign up for Pro, and I don't want to do that. So have fun, pick a font. I have our label that we use all the time completed over here. The fonts I use for Little Hill is called Vintage Goods. I ended up at a size 60 for my font, but it's going to be based on how big your words are and how big you want to fit on the label. And then I did Homestead as a second text box. So basically what I did is, once I got my, let me just make this vintage. Oop. If you go in here, Vintage Goods pops right up at the top. Boom. Now I think on my actual label, yeah, I had Little as one text box, Hill is a second text box, because the space between was too large for my liking. So I just treated them as two words and made separate text box. And then I did add a text box again, and you can add whatever you want. So for this one, I'm going to do Craft Co, since that is our channel. And then for that one, I used, clicking back and forth, J.A. Girl Sans. I thought that was cute, kind of homesteady looking for our other channel. So under our font, I'm going to change it to J.A. Girl Sans. Boom. And then you can kind of just stretch it to see where you like it, where it fits nicely. I like it tucked up. Whoop. Okay, let me click off that just to get on that one. You can drag it around. I thought it looked kind of cute where the L comes looped down, to have my Craft Company sit kind of like at a tail for it. So that's how you guys will create a label. Like I said, have fun. Just the bigger you can get on here, the better, but make sure you have a little space at the top and bottom for printing purposes. So I'm going to drag it down a little bit. Boom. There you guys go. That's the label we will use essentially for our product. So have at it, have fun, make it girly, make it cute, make it homesteady, whatever you want to do. But Canva is a way, and it's a free program. It's pretty easy to use. And there's lots of tutorials on YouTube on it. If you have any questions on it, I can do my best, but I'm not like super skilled with it. So once you have it picked, or once you have it figured out, I'm going to switch to my actual label just because it's the one I don't want to get confused and stuff. You're going to go up here to File, and you're going to hit Download. I just leave these as is, and then I hit download again. And it's downloading. Like I said, totally free. It's now downloaded into my downloads. Mine is called Hill 3. That's fine. So from here, we now have to go into Word, which most computers have Word. I have a Word version online that I use. Let me do File New. I'm going to do a blank document. So this is just a Word document that I'm going to be using. And let me actually save this logo. I told you guys, I'm sorry, I'm jumping around. File, download. I want to use my actual labels so that when I'm printing labels, they're usable ones. And then we're going to do this, download. So Hill 4 is what I'm looking for. So in here, you're going to do insert, and you're going to do picture. And then from this device, you're going to go find your image. Like I saved mine in my downloads just to make it really easy to find. Click it, and it'll load it to where you want it. So what I do typically is I will print a test paper that tells me when I print it, is it a 1x3? Is it going to fit my ribbon? So print it. Let me see. I don't have my printer hooked up. But essentially you're going to print it. Then you're going to hold your paper up to your ribbon. And does it fit on your ribbon, or is it too big? If it's too big, you can click it and you can drag this to make it smaller or larger to fit your labels. Beautiful, right? Then what I do is do copy, click next to it, and hit paste. And you're going to do this over and over until your whole sheet is filled with your label that fits the size you want. Like I said, if it's too big, scrunch it down, make it smaller, but before you paste a whole bunch of them. Once you get it done, let me see. You're going to end up with a sheet like this. I did 3 wide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I end up with 33 labels on one sheet of our transfer. So once you have it saved, you're going to save your Word document with them the right way where you can read them. If you have a printer that can print mirrored image, then you do not have to do the next step. But I don't, because I paid $30 for my printer. So I found a program online called img2, the number 2, go.com. So if you go in here, you get a free amount of credits without having to sign up. And that's how I have done it, is I don't want to pay for programs. So scroll down from the very main page, and you're going to go down. There's all these different options, and we're going to do rotate image. So if you click on that, it's going to bring you to here. And you're going to hit choose file. And again, we're going to go find, well, let me go find the actual, I didn't save it, so hold on, I gotta go find it. It's not there. And under documents, new. It's not under pictures. Okay. Well, I got it pulled. Oh, here we go. Little Hill. Hold on. Where to go? Script. That's what I saved it as. Okay. Remember what you save things as. I'm terrible at remembering, so I just, wing it, which is like my whole life. So now it's loaded in. So here is my scripted thing that we have created. Let me see if I can make it bigger so you can see. There we go. So I have a whole sheet of them. So from here, I picked this program because it's the easiest for me to figure out. If you go to this little triangle doodad up here and click it, it flips it reverse for you, which is what we need. So they're now reversed. Then you do save as, and I just do a JPEG because that's what it goes as, and I have it as script large label. I'm going to letter this number 2 just because it's a duplicate. And then it's going to save. And like I said, I like this one because you don't have to pay for it, which is what I like. If you do it too many times, you will. So, all right. Download selected. There you go. It's now downloaded. So now I have it right here for you. If I click on it, it's going to open as its own PDF now. All right. So now we have our PDF and our script is backwards. So we are ready to take it in, print it, and make our labels. So I hope that I went through that slow enough. If you have to rewind a few times, I totally get it. But the biggest thing is if you if you can print mirrored from your printer, you can skip this whole part. But I will link these programs below that I did use as well. And there are paid programs, but why spend money on this? This is the whole point, is to not. So I'm going to take my printer, my computer, and we're going to go in the other room where my printer is. All right, hold on, guys. Okay, we're back in the sewing room, you guys, because this is where I keep this printer, is on my hutch. So what I like to do is go into, we opened what we saved, the document we saved, the PDF. I opened it. So we are on our main screen, and it is reversed. I plugged into my printer, and what I like to do is do a test print before I print on the actual paper, because I don't want to screw it up and then I wasted a sheet. Ask me how I know. So what I'm going to do in here is just hit print one time, and I like to write on my paper that this is facing the top and which way it's going to load in, just so that when I put my other stuff in, I know I don't get it wrong. So I'm going to hit print. And yes, that's my printer, I think. Yes, it's a Canon TS3700 is the one that we got at Walmart for cheap. And I have no complaints about it so far. As long as it prints, I guess, is the thing. All right, we're going to hit print. Now let's make sure that it prints correctly before we load our stuff in. Printer is offline. Okay, let's turn it on. That would be helpful, I guess. There we go. Like I said, we never use this printer because I literally only bought it to do minor stuff like this. We have a high yield printer in the main office of our house, and that's what I use for printing other stuff. All right. Okay, now it says it's going to work on printing. All right, here we go. Apparently it needs its morning coffee before it can get started. I feel it. I feel it. There we go. Okay, apparently I printed landscape, so that is not helpful for me. Let me go into my print settings. So I printed side to side. That is wrong. So this is why we do test pages, you guys. You always say you like when I show you my screw ups. Here they are. So let me go in and change my orientation. Watch, I don't even know why it's on that, to portrait, which is the way it should be. And I'm going to write on my paper one more time that this is the top and it's loading in, and I point an arrow which way it's loading. And we're going to hit print one more time, and hopefully this time it moves just slightly faster. Here we go. So while that's printing, what I love about the Canva stuff is we were able to do our business cards using that logo. We were able to create round circles and print on stickers. So all of our stuff that we use for our business to promote our brand, to brand ourselves, we did free using Canva. So I'm not sponsored by them, nothing to do with Canva. I like free programs, just saying. All right, this looks like it's printing correctly, which is good. Okay, so now I know it's printed correctly. I'm going to grab a piece of my ribbon. I already know that it's going to fit, but what I would do is hold it up just to make sure that it fits before I jump in and print. I know I'm good. So, like I said, we're going to be using this Transar Dream True Heat Transfer paper. I use the 1.0 Classic. I will link this below. I think it was like $10 to $12 for a big pack, and it's going to create a lot of labels, you guys. I'm going to use this one just because it was already opened. And I'm going to print one. Don't print multiple yet. You can later, but I like to do one just to make sure it's good before you jump in and print 8. Again, ask me how I know. Okay, so I'm going to load that in for me face up, and I'm going to hit print again. And I'm sorry if I'm going slow for some of you guys, but I want to make sure that every person who watches this knows exactly how to do these labels. Okay, it went back to landscape, so I'm going to hit portrait one more time and hit print again. Keeps glitching. I don't know what it's doing. After I gave it compliments, that's the problem. Don't give things compliments. Okay, here we go. And while that's going, you can clean up, or somebody sent us these thank you cards. Julie made this by hand and sent it to us. We get the coolest little like homemade cards. It's awesome. So I like to keep those around because, you know, it's cool. So once I know this prints really well and I know that I like my label, it's the right size and stuff, I will print the entire pack of iron-on transfers so that I don't have to figure this process out every time. Because if you're like me, in 3 months when I need to print these again, I'm not going to remember. So I will print the whole pack. So I'm going to leave my computer set up over here. We are going to head to the cut mat because now we're going to use our labels. Oh, here's what they turned out like. Boom. It's just a big sheet of backwards labels. If you turn it around, you can see your label through the light, which is fun, right? Anyways, let's head over. Okay, the first thing I want to do is get my iron heating. So I'm going to walk over there, turn it on. I don't leave steam on. I turn my steam off and I turn it up hot. So I'm going to run over here and do that. All right, we're heating. I like to use my rotary cutter and my ruler. You can also, I don't think it's up here anymore. I used to have a paper cutter, like the ones that paper crafters use. You can use one of those if you like as well. So, did my label end up being the same size as what I actually printed last time? Yes, we're good. I like to cut mine, and I'll show you this later. I cut them and I keep them in a little dish in the middle so I don't forget to add them to our stuff. So we have our sheet, but what we need to do now is we need to trim this so that each label is slightly under 1 inch because, again, our ribbon is 1 inch. If you're using a wider or more narrow ribbon, you need to adjust that slightly. So I go over here and I line up. The top one needs to be trimmed a little bit on both sides, where after that you'll be able to just go down the row. But I line it up and I give it a trim. All right. And then this one, like I said, I need to flip it over and trim the other side just because it's the top one. So we have to trim them all apart, but you get 3 on each strip. And now we're at our 1 inch. So I'm going to cut all these up till we get our 33 labels done. Well, they're not 33 separates. Don't cut them apart. I'm going to go down the line. Oops, I cut that one a little crooked. It's okay. We'll end up with 30 labels. Get that one out of here just so I don't mess with it. Like I said, I like to do them slightly under 1 so that you don't have plastic hanging off the edge of the ribbon when we iron it on. You'll see what I mean when we get over there. And just make sure you're not cutting the letters off the next row because it is kind of a tight squeeze. All right, so you would go until you have them all cut. Now you have a whole bunch of strips that look like this. Let's take these over and I'll show you how we're going to put them on the ribbon, which is almost the final step. Almost, we're getting there. Like I said, just print a bunch and do this all at one time and you'll end up with hundreds of labels, but you'll have them ready to go. Let's take our ribbon to the iron. I'm going to do white today. I'm almost out of white, so we're going to do white today. My iron is warming up. It should be, yeah, we're good. So what I need to do is you lay this out, and I don't cut it. I just keep going down the line. So we have our ribbon. Let me make sure you can see it in the camera. Yep, we're good. We're good. So I'm going to take our logo that we made, and you're going to put the logo face down so the way you're going to be ironing on is the back of it. And you can tell because it has like little green marks. That's what you're going to be ironing. So I'm going to line it up on here. Like I said, it's slightly under 1 inch. So I have a little gap on each side where it's not going to stick off and go onto my ironing mat. All we're going to do is hit it with your iron, you guys. I like to go over it just for a few seconds. And you kind of know because it kind of stops curling or it does some stuff and you'll kind of know like, oh, okay, it's released. So it's essentially a sticker that you're transferring onto that ribbon. Don't do it too long because your ribbon will actually start to turn brown. And then when that one's done, I move on to the next one. And I just keep going until I have all of my labels done. So my steam is off and it's just on high, you guys. And then I'm going to slide it down the table. And while that one's kind of doing its thing, I get my next one lined up. And I like to do back to back to back until we are done. Okay, so now I have 3, and see, now they're attached to my ribbon. They're done. What I'm going to let them do is cool completely, and I'm going to give this a little cut. And we'll go, oh, these are terrible for this. Whoops. While this is cooling, I'm going to take you back over, but like I said, it's completely, they're stuck on there, and it's going to cool, and we'll be able to pull it off, and you will see your finished labels, you guys. So I'm over the cut mat, and these are fully cool. You can feel there's no warmth to them anymore. All you're going to do is find the end of your thing and slowly peel it off. And you'll be able to tell if the plastic is stuck. If the plastic is still stuck to the paper, well then go back to the iron and re-hit it again. But you just slowly pull it off. Boom. And you have your labels, you guys. Isn't that cool and cheap? Again, I can tell that it released, so I'm going to give it a pull. If you don't hold it long enough, then your letters will be super like faint. So give it like kind of push on it pretty hard and make sure you get it good and stuck. This is the one I was worried about being maybe not good enough, but we're good. We're good. Okay, guys. So there's our finished labels. Let me hold them up for you so you can see. Boom. Aren't those rad? I just love how easy things can be. So then all I do is take my rotary cutter and I cut these more precisely at the time that I use them. So all I do is kind of just cut them in between so you have enough of a sew line when you go to use it. And then, like I said, I just collect these, and then I have this little, it's kind of a mess right now, but I keep my 2-sideds, well, typically my double sides are on one side and then my other labels are on the other. So I'm just going to pop these in here. But what I like to do is make a bunch of them at once because they're just so easy to grab when they're like this versus me being empty. Then I have to go actually make more. Let me walk you through really quickly how to make the foldable ones really quick versus the full ones. So for these ones, all that I did, I'm trying to see where I can see. All that I did is, this looks oddly familiar, right? Well, in that program that we used, you can turn them this way as well before you mirror it. That's all I did, you guys. So I turned it one way and then I hit the rotate button until it was the other way. So let me walk you in. I'll show you guys instead. Hold on. Well, our large labels are finished. I'm not going to print these ones, but I'll at least show you how to create them. So let's go back to, so you're going to use the same label that you did in Canva, but, whoop. So this is the one that we created in Word, right? All you would do is from Word, let me delete this one. Okay, and delete this one. So you have one of your labels in our Word document. I'm going to shrink it down. And then you're going to hit right at the top right here. You can rotate it. So if you hold it and turn it, it rotates to be sideways. There's probably an easier way to do this. This is just what I know of. I think it's going to look crooked to you guys because of where you're sitting, but now it's rotated that way. Then I'm going to right click it and hit copy. I'm going to click just anywhere next to it so that I'm next to it. And I'm going to hit paste. So you now have 2. I'm going to take that one and use that little arrow to drag it around and again, so they're facing each other like that. I'm hoping you can see. Let me see if I can zoom in. Oop. Okay, do you guys see now they're facing each other? That's how you want it. I like to click between the two and do a space. Oops. If you backspace on your arrows, it will do this. I like to give it a couple spaces between so you have a fold line. So just hit a couple and like I said, print it to see what you think. And then once you go, yeah, I like that, I do a few spaces. That's going to be our cut line. This one's a little bit different, but then these ones you have to do copy each side of it. Control V, Control C, Control X. I don't remember, you guys, what it all is, but so you're going to paste that. And then remember, give it a couple spaces for your fold line. And then come over here and do copy again. Oop, and paste that. So I know it looks tedious, but once you get this whole line done, then you can go in, like after you have a few of them, whoops. I go in here and I don't have my mouse on me, you guys, but you can typically go in here and you highlight all these, and then you can copy all 4 of them and paste all 4. Or if you do a whole line, you can copy and paste all of them. Just make sure 2 things, that you have a couple spaces between the 2, and that you have a few spaces between each label to allow yourself that cut space. Then you would basically take that exact thing over to the mirror and rotate function that we did here and flip it and print it. So let me see if I have. So that's what it'll look like once it's fully ready to go. And then you would just take that document, flip it, and print it just like we did before. So essentially the same thing, except these ones, instead of facing this way, you turn them this way, and then you would turn the next one the other way. So before you mirror it, save your documents once you've mirrored it, and then you can just hit print each time you need them. Anyways, okay, let me go back to the cut table and close this out. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed coming along to learn how to make our labels. I wanted to show you them on finished products so you know that these are legit. So these are our mini wristlets that we're going to actually be debuting. We're going to be doing a new Etsy launch with new products and new designs. Hopefully at the middle or end of November. We're working on it right now. We just actually had $1,000 fabric order to get it ready. So, but these will be debuting there. Basically just our wristlets, but smaller. So they're made for cards and cash only. But I'm hoping you can see this. This is our large label. I just sew around it to secure it to whatever I'm making. These ones, boom, are the side label. This one stuck out a little bit farther than I would have liked. But what you would do to do these ones is when you are, don't iron these, by the way, it will take that right off. When you're sewing your wristlet or whatever it is you're sewing, you tuck it in like this, and you pin it and sew over it when you're making your stuff so that when you flip something inside out, it sticks out like a tag. I hope that makes some sort of sense. Either way, these are the 2 versions that we ended up with today. I hope you guys had fun coming along. And if you have any questions, like I said, I'll do my best to answer them. I'm not a computer aficionado. Why do they always get crazy like the minute I'm trying to talk? Ruger. Anyways, those are our labels. If you have any questions, I will link the programs we used, which should be all free, and I will link the products that we used, the ribbon and the iron-on transfer paper. Like I said, we tried a bunch of different ones, and this is the only one that worked for me. And then I'll try to see if I can find our printer at Walmart, our cheap printer, just because it was easy and it was the type I needed. So there you guys go. Anyways, if you have any questions, hit me up, and I hope this was worth the long-awaited whole 2-week wait. Thanks, guys. You guys, I just thought of one final thought. I wanted to say that when we sew these labels on, they do have kind of a rubbery texture, and they will stick to your feet a little bit. So I highly suggest that you use a walking foot to get through them without them shifting while you're sewing. Okay, that's it. Thanks, guys.